Hey associates, this video is going to walk through the back end of what I see when I'm grading your work in Packback, specifically for the project plan email assignment, so that way you know what I'm seeing, you know what I'm looking for, and I am going to end the video with talking through some very specific comments as they relate to using AI on this project, some things to look out for, and to really edit to make sure that you are using it right usefully, responsibly, and kind of maximizing the writing experience in this project. All right, so I have my kind of example that I made, and I did use it with Google Bard. I did not edit it very much. I basically just kind of copied what Bard gave me to put in here. So that way also you could see and we would have some key things to talk through in case you were planning on doing that for your projects. All right, so here is what the grading side of Packback looks like for me. Know that I do see and will be reading everything that you write and adjusting anything graded by the AI with my human judgment and education and credentials and all that kind of stuff. So we are not just completely leaving it up to the AI to dictate your grades here, but I will rely on it right heavily to help with some of these, again, grammar, mechanics, general editing things that you should be improving and have background and good prereqs on that are also so individualized that, to be honest, I do not have time to absolutely copy edit all 80, of you in this class this semester. So this is what it looks like for me. I see your project submission here, and then I have all these different tools. So at the top, right, obviously your name, I'm grading mine, and it checks for a few things. With the word count, the only reason I have these in here, just know I don't really like arbitrary word counts, but if you have fewer than 300 words, it is 99% the case that it is too short, and you are going to miss out on a lot of points here and here, because 300 words is just not enough. It's not enough words to explain all the things that need to be explained in this little proposal for the project. 1,500 words is an absolute top cap because I'm not trying to read a 1,500 word email. Nobody you work with really wants to read a 1,500 word email. If something is that long, it's not an email anymore. It's not, a nice quick, hey, by the way, here's what I'm working on. Then it becomes a full formal proposal document in and of itself that is, a much more formal report. So, in this case, right, 600 words is what I sort of wrote here. So I see kind of all that and I'll just kind of check in, but I don't care too much about it. That auto grade is fine. Then I do get this alerts button here that I can click on. You also should be able to see these alerts on the student side. Some of the alerts it gives me: grammar, again, and then plagiarism, right? And so first we'll look at the grammar. Again, you should always get full points on grammar because all of these feedback and suggestions Packback was giving you as you were writing this, as you were submitting it. So any suggestions that are absolute red flags that Packback gives you, fix them right in the moment. And so, the grammar, unless, of course, I see something that I fully disagree with, is kind of what it is. The auto grade makes sense there because grammar is grammar is grammar. In terms of the plagiarism risk, right? Here, I will go back to my grading tools, right? I see the alerts. I can see these highlights to look at, but I also see this originality report, all right? And so this is looking for copy paste plagiarism, but it also is able to look for AI content likelihood. The reason why this was flagged, again, I used Bard and really just plopped it in here to be my example test case to talk through, and just did some light editing on it. So yeah, it's right. Most of it does come from the AI. Again, I don't really care, about this. It also will mark plagiarism risk as high because Packback views using AI-generated content as a form of plagiarism. Just know, again, ethically, for other classes, yes, If you have Bard or GPT write your essay that is designed to assess your understanding of an actual concept, a history lesson, a philosophical theory, that would be plagiarizing, right? You're representing your own knowledge when that's not your knowledge. That's a different piece of work. For me, for this class, it's not the case, right? You can use AI. That is fine, but you do need to make sure to edit it pretty heavily. And at the end, I'll kind of put a time code that you can jump to if you're interested in that. We'll talk through the things that I will look for, that I will personally mark you off for if, right, it's actually a problem. And that really, spoiler alert, goes into you use the AI and you didn't bother to edit it or validate it or verify it, and now it puts something that literally doesn't make sense. That's what I'm more concerned with, right? You use the tool, now it doesn't make sense for the assignment. But just know I can see that. Of course, if your risks are high, I'll pay a lot closer attention, frankly. If it's low, be like, cool. Okay, so that's that. I can also see, and you can also see, these smart highlights. These are the questions that I put, the guiding questions on your original submission. And so it's analyzing and being like, hey, I'm pretty sure it addressed, this key question requirement here, right? Here's what it looks like. They talked about some goals. Okay, cool. Here's what it looks like it explained, right? The topic, that kind of stuff. So you can use the, kind of go through them if I have specific questions there. All right. So back to the instructor evaluation page. After I look through the alerts if needed, those are honestly more for you than me, we get to these. Note that I can adjust these point values as I see fit, and so I absolutely will be changing them if I disagree. Word count and depth, as well as the grammar and mechanics, you should get full points, because the point of Packback is individual writing assistance. Based on the words you have on the page, it will analyze and help you fix your grammar, fix your mechanics, get, better insights, all that kind of stuff. So again, if this is a really low score and I read through it, I'm just like disagreeing, I'll change it. But grammar rules are grammar rules, so follow its suggestions, and you can make judgment calls when appropriate. The one that I will most likely be changing, right? How it gave only 23 out of 40 points here for flow structure. I'll take a look. Why is it saying that? And this is where you do run into adjustments I need to make. Things like sentence to sentence flow, it's a little choppy, it's a little jumpy. It's saying that because there's so many bullet points. But as technical writers, we love bullet points, right? So look at the things it flags. And again, use your critical thinking. This is an AI tool. This is like your intern trying to help you edit your work. If they say, hey, there's something weird here, it's always going to be worth seeing. Is there something weird there? But sometimes you'll be like, no, that's okay. That's just because it's, bullet points. Don't worry about it. And that's the exact same kind of questions I'll be asking of your work. Same with things like sentences per paragraph, right? It's like, wow, look at all these short paragraphs. Well, yes. Primarily, it was trained on essays, much more, long paragraph structure as expected. I'm totally fine with this. So what I will really look for, right, when I'm going through, and in this case, I would say, flow and structure is actually really fine. All the sections are here. They do have kind of little topic sentences after most of the sections, not all of them. So I would probably increase this to maybe 30 points. Again, things I would mark off on. Under things like potential points, under this writing schedule, the introduction to the section is a little bit lacking, and that helps increase things like flow and structure. So just remember, right, always introduce a new topic, introduce a new section, give people that orientation, and I will be editing these point values with human judgment and giving you comments on why. All right, then we get into the actual things that I specifically look for with the rubric. So it's first understanding the project. In this example, right, they have this little section here, but it's only a couple sentences. So I would mark this as something like developing, right? the project's purpose is not really explained. I'm not sure you fully understand the skills that are being practiced here, though there are a few kind of key points that I noticed. So especially if I give you an incomplete or a developing score, then I will, explain why. And in this case, this is a great topic sentence, but this does not actually tell me anything, right? You are introducing what you're about to tell me, but notice that it doesn't actually tell me how or why or where this fits the objectives. So I'm not really learning that much. I would have marked this incomplete, except that there are some extra sections such as needing to provide examples and notes. Okay, that tells me that you understand a little bit about the project. And here where it talks about creating an example for the usability testing, right? So I'm giving you a few points because I do think, right, in this case that the you at least read the assignment, but not enough to actually explain to me, the project manager, what this client's asking and how you are fulfilling the client's needs. And then the writing plan, I would mark this writing plan as functional. Why? Because it does have some good elements. There's a clear outline, and there is like this schedule, but it's pretty vague. It doesn't really give me an exact sense of how you're going to complete it, but it's good enough, right? And good enough on this type of assignment is basically worth a B, right? 80% score on that. Very effective would be 100 because I'm like, great plan. I exactly understand what you're going to do. Then I will give you an overall kind of feedback tips, right? So that's what I'm seeing, and I can, highlight different sections and leave comments for you. So that's the instructor side. I can hit save and update. Perfect. So now I'm going to flip you around to see the student side, and this is where I'm going to talk through more specific comments on the AI usage that you need to watch out for. Okay. All right, so I'm here in the student view. Again, here's your draft. You can see it's not marked up. You get the original, and some of these details, you're not able to edit it because I have graded it. So up until, even if you turn it in early, as long as the due date hasn't passed, you can make edits. I will start grading, so you can make edits after that, on the Monday after it's due. So if you turn it in on Friday and you realize over the weekend, I want to make some changes, you can all the way through Sunday at midnight. So then you'll have your evaluation, your points. In this case, 100 Packback points is 1% for our class. So on this assignment, then that student, me, will have earned 2.2 out of 3. So you click view, and right, what you see, right, all these details, your points, my overall comment, this would be kind of big picture. Hey, here's something for the next time you do this, right? We have 3 project plan emails to write this semester. So on future ones, you should think about, right, these comments, these feedback, try to integrate it to, score higher, do better on the next one. Your writing assistant requirements, again, notice, now you see the updated score. Originally, Packback's AI thought you only were going to get 23 points on flow and structure. After I read through the document, right, I increased it to 30 points. Again, I would leave you these highlights to help give you a sense of why you lost points there. And then the additional requirements. You see the points, you got half credit on understanding the project, and here's my comment. In this case, because you really didn't actually explain what the project is or how the thing you're writing about fits into it, the point is to show yourself and show me, your project manager, what is this new client work you're doing, and how are you gonna, make sure the client is happy and you're doing the right thing. And then, writing plan. So you can, okay, last thing is these instructor comments. So if you go to the instructor comment tab, this is where all these little highlighted stuff pops up. So you can either scroll through this way and it will highlight the sections for you, or you can click on the document and read it right there, whichever works best for you. So write some of these comments. Okay, nice subject line, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so Some of the stuff in red is the AI things I want to talk to you about. So first, right, Bard. Again, most of this was written by Bard, and some things that I would mark, where I'm like, So Bard, GPT, all the AI tends to be very over enthusiastic in the prose, right? In the words. So for example, right, this is like an email proposal to your boss. Maybe you want to convey that you're happy to work on it, but like, I don't know, are you really excited to present this proposal? It's just not how people at work tend to talk, like, let's be honest, but it's very much something that GPT likes to write. And so be on the lookout for that. A few other times, and language-wise, that I would highlight, I might not fully take points out for, but I would definitely be like, you need to edit this more carefully. Things like at the end here, right? My passion for audio-based learning makes me uniquely qualified to craft this compelling, especially Bard, watch out for this, since the latest update has been on a very kind of poetic, overly descriptive, kind of fluffy vibe, no matter how many times I tell it to, stop. So these are things you need to edit for. Again, this is your proposal. Like, come on, are you really crafting? Like, what does crafting even mean? It's just not a very technical verb. And again, you're at work. Like, do you really have that much passion for this? Right? You were assigned it by your client. Hopefully you like it. Hopefully you are interested in writing about it, but I highly doubt you have a ton of passion. Same with this, eagerly await. Come on, let's be honest. You're not really eagerly awaiting the opportunity for feedback. Like, stop. That's just such an AI thing to write. So those are some key things there. Areas that I would actually mark you down for because you failed to validate and verify what the AI gave you. Here's a great example. All of these bullet points, right, Bard made for me. I didn't go through and check them, right, until I submitted it in grading. And this is something that doesn't make sense. And this is where your use of AI becomes a problem. It doesn't make sense anymore. You clearly did not edit it and take ownership of the content. So this last bullet point about distribution and promotion, and right, my topic, this thing I'm pitching, this project, is, about faculty making lecture content. They don't need to worry about distribution and promotion because everything's already set, right? They don't need to find an audience. Their audience is their classes, right? So that'd be something I'd flag and be like, why are you going to talk about this? That doesn't make sense. So that would be an issue. Or here, another area, clear sign that AI was used and you didn't bother to fix it. That's the problem I have. When you don't bother to fix what the AI gives you to match your actual purpose and audience. So it made a schedule. It is good at making schedules, but 10 weeks, we have 3 weeks for this assignment. So obviously your writing plan isn't going to work. And where these points then would come off is, right, in things like do you have, a better writing plan here, right? That doesn't make sense. And so that's where kind of your points would go. Now you can, reprompt it. You could give it all the deadlines, from class and be like, the writing schedule has to be done between this date and this date. But honestly, at that point, you're probably going to spend just as much, if not more time prompting and fiddling with your AI prompts than if you just wrote the schedule yourself. Those are decisions you got to make. But those are examples that I will be looking for because it hurts your credibility as a technical writer. It hurts the comprehension and usability of the document when you leave things from the AI in that just don't make sense and don't fit anymore. And that goes to you not using the tool correctly. All right. So those are those really kind of key comments there. And just, some other comments. These are things that, I wrote myself. This is a great example of a tiny paragraph, right? And that structure and flow. We can have small paragraphs like this as long as there's a purpose, right? A point to it. So if I read it and I'm like, this paragraph is hanging out by itself because it's missing details or because it actually belongs with this other topic sentence and you just kind of mess that up, that's a problem. But if I'm like, hey, this paragraph is one sentence hanging out by itself because it's the purpose statement and it's super important and you want to make sure I don't miss it, then that's good. Some of that structure really does come down to the point of what your choices are with technical writing. Here's in a comment, lacks detail, right? So to maximize your points here, make sure that you are fully and clearly explaining to me / again, your project manager, here's this request I just got from the client, what I'm working on, here's how my topic and my plan is going to fill all of the requirements and objectives of that project. So you need to show me that you understand the assignment. Otherwise, use headings, love that, use these bullet points. And when the AI grader might say, hey, too many bullet points, there is, again, when your intern brings something to your attention, give it some thought. It's very true that you might have too many bullet points. That is something that absolutely happens. The more bullet points you have, the more, kind of meaning they lose. And I would say in this case, a lot of these things, there's a ton of bullet points happening. So maybe I rewrite this section to be, less bulleted and more just talk about it in paragraphs. So that way, the writing schedule stands out more. That kind of stuff. So pay attention to what the AI is telling you. Use bullet points, right? Use lists, use headings, use design, all of those kind of key opening qualities that you read about in your week 1 required materials, and make sure that this is very usable, useful, and enjoyable enough for me to read.